Agents talk a lot about being independent, and I think independent actually means a lot. But being independent, I think, is not something we've done a great job at. People too easily talk about the person, the agent, right? Well, the problem is the independent agent, and I've just never felt that way. I felt like every independent agent I've ever met is super focused on their community, on their business, on their people, their customers. They're amazing people. And I guess if I was thinking that I wasn't running, I'm like, well, maybe they weren't running right. But even after I started addressing the own issues inside of my agency, it was clear that I was still missing something. It was almost like I was missing a tool. And it began to think about that it wasn't me. It wasn't independent agents. It was the fact that maybe things had changed so much over time, and maybe we just hadn't addressed the core issue, which is the tools. And think about it. I mean, anything that you want to be successful at isn't just one thing usually. It's a process. There's the things you have to accomplish. There's a sequence of things that have to happen. If you want to lose weight, it's not just get sleep. There's some exercise. There's some diet, right? There's definitely sleep. There's nutrition. There's all sorts of things that go into it. And for each person, it's different. And so it's the combination of things that makes it a successful endeavor. It's the same thing with sports too. I mean, it's a little bit of power. It's a little bit of a coordination. It's training. It's repetition. It's all these things. And so the idea that agencies would just have one piece of technology and you're either successful or you're not, well, that's not how anything in life works. And so how could it be the case that independent agents weren't working because of who they were, which wasn't the common experience I was having? It had to be that they didn't have the right tools and therefore couldn't sequence things the right way. So I just did what everyone does, is you look upstream at who's bigger and successful and how they're solving it. And I saw insurance carriers. Same issues, right? I mean, insurance carriers have billing and claims and policy and underwriting, all of these things. And for most of them, it's many different solutions. And what carriers started doing is like, we need a platform, right? So one platform that solves many issues, allows us to measure that, allows us to work with many different softwares and processes, bring it together in one place on a platform, and now we can connect the whole business. We can measure different process. We can see the impact it has on results, and we can make changes. Changes might be people, might be departments, could be technology. What didn't have to change is the platform. Now step into an insurance agency, my agency, or anyone's insurance agency, and it's like, it's not there. Agents were missing the platform. And the platform is, well, now it's clear. It's made up of 4 things. And those 4 things matter. And as I looked around the ecosystem, I couldn't find any one company that understood those 4 things and or delivered on those 4 things and was working with agents. And that's really what Be Atomic is. It's the acknowledgement that a product was missing. And that if you understood which components of weight loss or performance were missing, and you could assemble those things and empower an independent agent, well, all of a sudden, we wouldn't have to blame independent agents for being so independent. So what are those 4 things? What are the 4 principles or quadrants that Be Atomic solves for an independent agent for the first time? Connectivity. We've been sitting in our offices disconnected from our customer, disconnected from our carrier, and disconnected from other technologies that could make us better. And so one of the core tenets of Be Atomic is connectivity. APIs that move stuff, connect stuff, make it more efficient, get you better margin so that you can be better. It's Salesforce too. You got to have an infrastructure to make things happen. You can invent it if you want, or you could just use the world's #1 to be able to build on. And so it was pretty simple to a guy like me, a steel fitter from Cleveland, that was like, hey, listen, you could go out and invent something, the wheel, or you could just use the wheel that you have. And it's very clear that Salesforce is that tool for the independent channel. Agents can use it and customize it. Carriers have accepted, adopted. It's secure. It addresses regulatory. It has all the components necessary to be used. What it hasn't done really well, and what we're doing at Be Atomic, is making it for insurance. And that's what Neon is. It's Salesforce for insurance. The third part of it was data. There's too much guessing going on. And if you're going to generate more runs, you got to get on base. And the only way to know that is to evaluate the players, to evaluate the performance, to evaluate the talent, to evaluate the vendors that we choose and that we work with. And data has never been thought of as an actual product for independent agents. And so when they look at their agency, they're usually looking at a system that wasn't built to make data, reports that come out of it in a way that's not readable, oftentimes old. And how do you become successful? How do you get to the World Series looking at that? And so that's a really important tenet of any successful business is data. And we've built that into Be Atomic. And the last is community. That may sound weird for a software company, but like independent agents are community driven. They love the communities they're in. They build communities inside their agencies. And they're a community unto themselves. And it became very clear that with the right tools that they could stay independent, but they could scale solutions together. Because if you had connectivity, and if you got infrastructure, and you've got data, and you had a community of people who were using it, all of a sudden you've got all the four components to be really successful. And if you take those things and make one system out of it, you've in essence done what carriers have done for themselves. And so in this industry, many people are saying, I'm better than. Be Atomic's just saying it was missing. There's so much debate in this industry about who's better. I neither know how to win that fight, nor do I have any interest in it. It's just not interesting to me. And I don't think it's a profitable conversation. But that's the one we're having. I think what we've learned at Be Atomic is it's not that someone's better than anyone else or more important than anyone else. It was that something was missing. Yeah, something was missing. And it was Be Atomic. One platform with four tenants solving the fundamental problem, just like the Yankees are.